Hudl Replay can work directly with Mikrotik cubes to create a wireless connection that allows you to have devices in different locations, like in the press box and on the bench, while still accessing the same replay session. To do this, you will need a MacBook capable of running a sports code capture, a capture device or encoder to bring that feed in. In this case, we are using an AJA, a network switch, the Mikrotik router, both Mikrotik cubes, and various cables and adapters. In this case, we are using an Ethernet cable, an Ethernet adapter, a red part cable, and one PoE injector for the bench cube. First, we will connect the capture device to the laptop so we can pull a feed into sports code. Starting by connecting the SDI to the camera and then into the AJA. Then from there, we're going to connect the AJA directly into the computer utilizing a direct connection cable. Next, we will connect the laptop to the Mikrotik router to connect it to the same network as the cubes, connecting an Ethernet adapter and then an Ethernet cable. It's also important to ensure that the Mikrotik router itself is receiving power. Once the router has been plugged in using the power cable, we will then connect the Ethernet. An Ethernet adapter is plugged into the laptop, and an Ethernet cable that's going to go into port 2, 3, or 4 on the Mikrotik router, in this case, port 2. Now continuing with the router, we will next plug the main cube into port number 5 of the router. Port number 5 supplies PoE to the cube, so the provided PoE injector is not necessary. Once the device has been plugged in, you should see lights on the cube and on the top of the router, indicating power to each port being used. Next, moving to the bench side of the setup. On the bench, we are going to be utilizing a network switch to connect the iPads and cubes together on the same network. First, supplying power to the network switch. The front light will indicate that it is receiving power. Then, supplying power to the provided PoE injector for the bench cube. We will then plug in an Ethernet cable into the adapter, and that Ethernet cable will be plugged into the bench cube to supply power. Once it is plugged in, you should be able to see a blue power light on the cube. From there, the adapter will be plugged directly into the network switch into any port. Using another port on the network switch, plug in the Redpark Ethernet cable so we may connect the iPad to the same network. This will link everything together so we can utilize the Mikrotik connection to run the replay session. The SDI cable should be going into the SDI in side of the AJA. Reminder, after plugging in the laptop to Ethernet, we are going to utilize ports number 2, 3, or 4 on the router. The main cube is going to utilize port number 5 for the PoE capabilities. Once it has been plugged in, you should see a blue power light appear on the cube. The router should show power for both ports that are being used, number 2 and number 5. On the bench side, make sure to supply power to the network switch using the supplied power cable, then supplying power to the PoE injector, plugging the PoE injector with an Ethernet cable directly into the bench cube. Once it is plugged in, the bench cube should indicate power with a blue light, and then plugging the PoE injector into any port on the network switch. Then we will plug in the iPad's Ethernet cable, the red part cable, so we can connect the iPad to the same network. If you utilize multiple iPads, the setup may look something like this, with two red part cables being plugged into the network switch.